Nah, but nah, like I was saying before, there's a lot of teams that might start off 1-5. And it's sad. There's a handful of teams that might start off 1-5. The Giants might start off 1-5. The Vikings might start off 1-5. The Vikings might be a wild card team already. Like they have 3 losses. Realistically, they can't afford 2 more losses, bro.
Yeah, the Vikings I think the Vikings are just so disappointing. After our last conversation, I kind of brought up
the thing is, I kind of expected the mediocreness from them. I think they were like the Giants last year. They're a little fluky.
I was ready to come in here today talking about how Kellen Moore should be the new head coach for the Chargers because that offense is firing, and still probably because Staley didn't really earn them that win. But
I mean, Staley got the win. It's the NFL. It's going to count as his win, so he's going to end up.
I think we have to talk.
It's an ugly win, but a win is a win. He's not going to get fired for it. That bought him another week.
I think we have to talk about the biggest superstar at the game this weekend. Wait, no, I want to phrase that a little more inconclusively. I want to make it sound like I'm going to talk about a player and then be like T-Swizzle. And then this will be our intro, I think. But
T-Swizzle, who's that?
You know who's the biggest superstar that showed up this weekend? T-Swizzle, Taylor Swift, rocking with Travis Kelce. That's the biggest headline for the NFL this week. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pumped.
He was on Red Zone more than the Jets.
Yeah, if you didn't know, she was at one of the games.
If that headline somehow eluded you this weekend, Taylor Swift rooting on Travis Kelce at the Chiefs-Bears game, and the Chiefs not giving much to root against with a one-sided demolishing of the Bears that I have to say, I did not pick the upset to happen, and I don't think Tev did either, so.
Beat the dog piss out of them. Oh, that's really all you can say. They beat them bad. That was an embarrassing loss.
You got to see Justin
There's not
Fields.
much you can say about the other end. Yeah, there's not much you can say about the other end that we haven't said. That offense is cruise. DJ Moore isn't a game changer. If he was a game changer, Carolina would never traded him for the number 1 pick. He's a star wide receiver, but there's levels to it. Like there's stars and then there's levels. AJ Brown's a game changer. He's not a game changer trade wise, but KC's back though.
KC seems to be back, and so are we with our Week 3 review. We are the Senior Roundtable Football Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Tev.
And I'm Zach. I always go last. I like to go last. I feel like it's the perfect. I'm the perfect caboose, you know.
I'd agree with that statement, and that's why we have to get you that webcam so we can show that perfect caboose on cam.
I know it's coming. Best Buy. We've been getting whacked by a tropical storm, so I'm using every excuse not to leave my house right now.
I'm telling you, once you do, this podcast is going to take a change. But for now, we stay a football podcast. We tread on a few new injuries getting around the league, which we'll get to later. But honestly, I did want to pose a question. I know we're Jets fans. We're always going to stay Jets fans at heart. But we're not winning the Super Bowl this year, guys. Aaron Rodgers, he needs to be back for the playoffs to do so, and I don't see us getting there with this makeshift offensive line. Has me not even being able to blame Zach Wilson for some plays. So I wanted to get your thoughts about what teams are catching your eye this year as potential Super Bowl contenders. If the Jets don't make it to the playoffs, who do you think you're going to hitch your allegiance to?
Honestly, if God forbid the Jets don't make the Super Bowl, which we all know they're not even going to make the playoffs. But if I had to root for a team to win the Super Bowl, I think it's the San Francisco 49ers. They're by far one of the best defenses in the league. They have such an elite pass rush, elite linebackers, good secondary. The run game is honestly elite. Brock Purdy's been a great game manager. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel's been great as a 1 and 2. And I really like Kyle Shanahan. Give me the 49ers to win the Super Bowl this year.
I was thinking the 49ers myself, but I wanted to give a more exciting take here. I'm rooting for America's real team, the Detroit Lions, and Motor City Dan Campbell. I think they're not Super Bowl favorites, clearly, but I think they're a dark horse for the playoffs. They have A lot of interesting weapons. They have a solid defense, especially with Aiden Hutchinson anchoring down that defensive
2
end.
sacks, 1 forced fumble.
Exactly. He's a true game changer on that defense, which I think every playoff team needs. They need at least one game changer. The 49ers got Bosa. The Lions got Aiden Hutchinson. Also, Jahmyr Gibbs. He was reaching a new high in touches this last week. So I think we're going to see a lot more usage from him. I think we're going to see him help open up that Detroit offense a little bit more. And I just, like I said, I love the Lions. Like, they're America's team. Fuck the Cowboys. Go Lions.
Tev, I wanted to extend the floor to you, too. Before I reveal my answer, I wanted to know who's your early Super Bowl favorite.
Being a Panthers fan, Cruz. Like, we're 17 and 44 since we fired Riverboat Ron, and Riverboat Ron.
You might be in the same spot as us. I don't think you can consider you guys a Super Bowl contender this year, unfortunately.
Absolutely not. It's a rebuild year. So with that, I love Baltimore, man. I could talk about them, talk a lot of smack about them, but at the end of the day, like Goldman was saying, like Zach was saying, we have every team has a crazy defense, a star. Their defense is banged up, but Kyle Hamilton looks good. He looks like a utility guy, doesn't only line up at safety. Then that offense, don't let this week, it was raining. I said it was going to rain. It should have benefited the Ravens run offense, but it didn't. It's life, whatever. But I really love the Ravens. If they can get stuff going, they get Zay Flowers more involved. They get OBJ healthy throughout the stretch. Mark Andrews, he's healthy and running. We already know Lamar MVP, you know what I mean? So I think they could do it. I really think this is their year. I love it. Losing week 3 to the Colts isn't nothing. Come on. I really think they could do it. I don't know.
I'm going to dig into your answer in a bit because I know we saw the Ravens B team out there, but they got Minshew on. Minshew magic came to life, so I just can't see this team seriously competing until they can beat teams like the Colts that aren't necessarily proven in themselves. And I know the team that I'm going to take hasn't necessarily beaten a proven team just yet, even though Russ is a Super Bowl winner. But give me the Miami Dolphins. This team put up 70 points. You know the last time we've seen a team put up 70 points? 1966. Our parents were babies. Our parents might not even have been born. My parents were babies. I can't speak for you guys. I can't believe the offensive showing that we saw. My dad was at the game, and he said up front it looked like a college football game. And with a score like that, can you really argue with him? 726 total yards. We saw 8 touchdowns combined between the rookie Akane and Raheem Mostert, who's 31 years old and running like he's, 21? This is a fantastic team. This team has speed like no other. Tyreek Hill hasn't even been mentioned yet. Jalen Waddle, who was out this game, wasn't even needed. Those are the stars of this offense. Tua is running a well-oiled machine. Mike McDaniel, in the same way that I think Tev is inspired by Dion, Mike McDaniel inspires me. There's something about that dweeby dude with the glasses, with those awkward answers, still very smooth around the mic. He fires me up. I love the Dolphins, and I can't help myself but go on and on about this team. Give me the Miami Dolphins to win it all this year. I'm sold already.
And a fun fact about the Dolphins game yesterday, Mike White really threw a touchdown to Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Chosen. The
Jets
chosen
fans all
one.
over the world were breaking their hearts when they heard that.
The chosen one catch. 63 yards and a score.
Panthers fans are right there with you, man. Just, come on, man. But that game was crazy to think about because realistically, they have a 1A, 1B receiver set with Waddle and Hill, and Waddle not even playing in this week 3. That offense is that dangerous in week 3. They have a really big test next week, but like you said, there's nothing you can really say about that game. The stats, numbers don't lie. 70 points is insane. I can't do that in Madden right now. If we go on all Madden, like simulation or competitive, I can't do that. Yeah, it's insane. So for them to do it in real life, game speed, there's not much you can say about that.
Charlie, Zach, I know we have a loaded division as it is, but I think we have to face it. Once again, we're going to see the AFC East represented in the Super Bowl, and once again, it's not going to be the Jets.
You know what? It is what it is. It's just another season down the drain. And you know what? I just want to rant because I went to the Jets-Patriot game yesterday.
I'd love to hear
The
your thoughts
offensive
on
line-
this.
The offensive line actually did not play really too bad because I prefer Becton at the left tackle spot anyway. When I went to the game with a couple of my family members, I told them I really hope that we put AVT at right tackle and we move Becton to left. I think that's the best combination we even had. We should have put that. That should have been our lineup week 1. But Zach Wilson's freaking atrocious, man. He couldn't even make a pass down by like 20 yards. It was ridiculous. The run game was not there, and I knew this was going to be a defensive game. But we just didn't have it our way. Zach Wilson looked terrible, and the season's over.
I think we're going to make a move for Kirk Cousins here. I think it's going to happen. He's got 1 year left on his deal. The Vikings are 0-3 right now. He's the perfect bridge to bring back Aaron Rodgers next year, and it somehow involves Brett Favre because we got the Vikings, we got the Jets, and then we got A-Rod coming from the Packers. I don't know, make sense of it, but I think we're going to see Kirk Cousins in a Jets uniform by week 6.
I don't think that's going to happen. No shot.
Wait.
I think this Robert Saleh's too faithful to Zach Wilson. It's not going to happen.
No. Actually, I see it happening because, like I said, Vikings are going to be 1-5. So they're 1-5, disgruntled. I'm going to trade my quarterback for potentially a young quarterback or draft compensation and get him out of here because you're not doing Jettas any. Like, this is what you got to think about it. If you're really the Vikings in that situation, if the right package comes up, I'm 1-5. Anyone's out the door except for Jettas. Who on that team, defense and offense, besides Justin Jefferson and who was their rookie wide receiver that they drafted? I'm drawing a blank.
Jordan
Besides
Addison.
those two, yeah, and Jordan Addison. Besides those two, who else can you really say, yo, we're like, maybe we're gonna trade him, maybe not. Everyone else is out the door. Everyone else's contract is dependable.
Yeah, I think I'm with
So,
Tev
I don't
here.
know.
I feel like this Jets team, the one thing I don't agree with you, Charlie, is I don't think Saleh's actually unsold to Zach Wilson as it seems from the outside. I think they're doing the media games, like jumping through the hoops that they need to. It's a young quarterback, and I will disagree with you once again. Actually, I felt like that offensive line was atrocious against that solid New England defense, but they couldn't get anything done. Zach Wilson held on to the ball for as long as he possibly could. He had a bad game, but there were times where I just could not blame Wilson as much as I wanted to, because he was playing against a fantastic, fundamentally sound defense. But he's outmatched. He's simply not ready to lead this team to the playoffs. This is a playoff roster. Our defense showed up last game. Our defense, besides the one play that was a big let-up, I felt like our defense was fantastic. Besides, what was it? Who scored the touchdown? Pharaoh Brown. Besides the touchdown that Pharaoh Brown scored, and Zeke Elliott kind of beating us up a little bit, this Jets team came up to compete with Bill Belichick. This is a game that we could have won if we did have a Kirk Cousins. This was a 1 p.m. time window. We definitely would have won Kirk Cousins.
You know my rule, man. No prime time, they're good.
Hey, you say that, but we did see the Vikings lose in the 1 p.m. time slot this past Sunday against the Chargers. Brandon Staley, who we clowned on a little bit, said was going to be the first coach to go potentially this season, got the win. What do we think?
I feel like that just bought him another week. Like I was saying before, it bought him another week. I feel like Zach said week 6. This brought him to like week 7, week 8, the way the season is going. He didn't outcoach it because it was a chess game, that game. That game was a chess game. But I don't think it was Staley really coaching it. I feel like it was OC and DC really running the game right there. And fans see it too. Justin Herbert's fun to watch. Justin Herbert's really fun to watch. So with Staley, I feel like limiting him at times, it makes it like very irritating to watch. Even though it's fun to watch. That win, I feel like was a fluke, and that was just another stepping stone, like I said, to them going 1-5 and them blowing that team up. And it wasn't Kirk's fault. You guys know me. Anytime I can do it, I will bash Kirk Cousins. I hate Kirk Cousins, but like it wasn't his fault. That offense, like realistically, he isn't playing awful. When he plays bad, I'll let you guys know he didn't play bad. It really wasn't his fault.
I have a lot of faith. I really think that he will get it done, and especially if he was in New York.
Like I said, I feel like it's a major possibility. I think Wilson. Last year, I thought he was the problem. This year, I really don't think he's the problem right now. I think the Jets' O-line has just been consistently terrible. Like they're not giving him time in the pocket. They're not allowing routes to develop downfield, and they're kind of just minimizing Wilson to these short routes or playing the run game. It's tough, and I think what Aaron Rodgers was going to bring to this offense was the knowledge to kind of play through a defense, reading defenses better. If you took Zach Wilson and you put him in a situation like they have over in San Francisco, I think we would see a completely different football player. I don't think Brock Purdy is much more talented, even if he is more talented than Zach Wilson. I think they're two very similar. I should say they're very similar in talent level. I think they play different games, but I don't think Brock Purdy would be doing this on many other teams in the NFL. Putting someone like Kirk Cousins there, while I wouldn't say he's as talented as Aaron Rodgers, I think he has the same game knowledge as him. He's been in the league for over 10 years now at this point. He's seen a lot of defenses, and even in a loss, he's still putting up 367 yards with only one interception. I think he could really benefit the Jets to look into a trade for Kirk Cousins.
I also think it would be, maybe I'm a little too early on this. I'm still giving Saleh his time, but maybe it's time for the Jets to maybe look at a Kellen Moore. Because on that other side of that Vikings-Chargers game, Justin Herbert, 40 of 47, 407 yards, 3 touchdowns. Keenan Allen threw a touchdown. Keenan Allen threw a 49-yard touchdown to Mike Williams, who's going to be out for the year with a torn ACL, unfortunately. We're going to have to see Josh Palmer. We're going to have to see Quentin Johnson stepped up with the Chargers moving forward. But Kellen Moore has looked the part and more as the Chargers OC so far. I think he would be a candidate for his own team in Los Angeles because we've already talked about Brandon Staley being out the door. Keenan Allen had a masterclass game with, I believe, 18 catches, 210-ish yards, no receiving touchdowns, but the aforementioned passing touchdown. I think that I'm starting to worry about the Saleh regime after this loss.
I definitely agree with you there. Like, I feel like Adam Gase has won 9 games when he was our coach, compared to Saleh, who only won 12 games in his third year now. Saleh needs to step up as a coach. Nathaniel Hackett needs to step up as an offensive play caller. Zach Wilson, the whole team just needs to step up. This is ridiculous. We shouldn't be going into a game only scoring 10 points with really good talent on the offensive side. And we're playing the Chiefs next Sunday night. Oh God.
We'll get
God
to
bless
the
us all. That's all I'll say.
We'll absolutely get to the Chiefs, but as a way to move us on to another game, and also as a counterpoint of a team that is making it do with minimal resources and coming away with yet another win this week, the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love wrestling this one away. He did not have pretty stats, 22 of 44. He did not look great, but you know what he did? He got the win. And I don't feel afraid of saying that the Jets should at least be up to the Packers standard, being that we traded for their quarterback. I know Zach Wilson isn't exactly Aaron Rodgers, but shouldn't we put him on the standard of at least Jordan Love? I just feel like this is as a final point to move forward because I feel like I'm struggling to get past the Jets. I have a lot to say on the Jets today. As a final point to move forward away from the Jets and towards the Packers, Jordan Love looks the part of a winning quarterback, and for some reason, Nathaniel Hackett, Robert Saleh, not getting it done.
Absolutely agree.
Well, I mean, this is what I come back to and spin back to. Jordan Love was in a complete different situation. Jordan Love sat behind a good quarterback, a really good quarterback. MVP 2 times while he was there. So he watched an MVP quarterback on the daily practice, scheme, film, and everything with the MVP caliber quarterback. I'm not necessarily saying he had to be an MVP. It just benefits a lot more that it was Aaron Rodgers being his vet. And then he came in on his own terms when they were ready to play him. The year prior, they could have traded Aaron Rodgers. I feel like they didn't believe in Jordan Love yet. They wanted to see another season behind a good vet. And once he had that other season, I feel like they were more willing to trade Aaron Rodgers because they were more sold on Jordan Love. And I was saying this before, I'm sold on him as well. Jordan Love, game manager-wise, yeah, he had a pretty bad first 3.5 quarters. But then when it came down to it, down 17, I'm still in this. Let me own y'all. Let me go get this win. And he did it. And it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't spectacular. There's nothing that we could call out that, like I said in week 1, his deep ball accuracy is there. He works on it. He gets a couple of threats, or he works on a connection with his receivers. It is there. He just, the way he manages the game, you see a vet in him. And it's sad to say that this is his first full season, but at the same time, thank God it is, because who knows how sloppy he would have been. Maybe we would have saw that, like you said, the Zach Wilson in him.
I feel like he's been set up for failure. Like, when you look at the injuries that the people they didn't have on the field, I know we can talk about Jair Alexander, he's on defense, but Bakhtiari, Elgton Jenkins, Christian Watson still hasn't seen the field this season at all. Aaron Jones hasn't seen the field since his solid performance week 1. Jordan Love is still getting it done. And this was against, just like the New England Patriots, a solid New Orleans Saints defense. I know Derek Carr stepped out. Jameis Winston didn't throw a pick or anything. I think this was a Packers win and not necessarily a Saints loss.
No, actually, I'll flip that. I think it was a Saints loss. You're up 17. Backup quarterback coming in. No reason for him to throw the ball 17 to 18 times, I believe. I think he threw the ball 18 times. No reason. I love Jameis Winston as a person. Love his interviews. Hilarious. Unintentionally. You could tell that he is really a locker room guy, but come on, man. Like, why get left the ball 18 times? He had a 30 for 30 year. Like, why would you trust him to throw the ball 18 times? I don't care how awful the run game was. Pound that ball in, drain clock. You're up 17 points. Get a field goal. You get a couple first downs. Win the game. That was on them.
Do you think they were afraid to? They had Kendre Miller. They had Tony Jones, but they had no Jamal Williams. Alvin Kamara is now coming back this week. But that Saints offense does look pretty tough in the running game. Those receivers, however, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, that's one of the best receiver trios in the league. I can't really fault the Saints with trying to get their playmakers the ball.
Yeah, potato, I feel like, at that situation. But yeah, I can't give Jordan Love too much credit because, like you said, he didn't have a good game necessarily. He had a good fourth quarter. And that fourth quarter, I feel like, was part of the Saints trying to air it out and get the ball to the playmakers, which was, I feel like, a mistake in hindsight. If it panned out, they probably would have won by 30. But who knows? It was really bad in my eyes.
There's another NFC North versus NFC South matchup I want to get into. Zach, you touched on Motor City Dan Campbell and the Lions being your Super Bowl favorite, or the team that you're at least keeping an eye on as the season goes down. What were your thoughts on their win against Atlanta this weekend?
I think it was a deserved win. I think the whole team played at their skill level. Jared Goff, he's not this elite quarterback who's going to put the team on his shoulders to win you every game, but he is a quarterback capable of winning you some games. He only had 243 yards on the day. He had a touchdown and an interception. So I think a very average game. Nothing to write home about, but nothing to complain about. We saw Bijan Robinson on the Falcons side only getting 33 yards. Kind of starting to see him slow down from this hot start he's had to begin the year.
Yeah, 14 total touches, 60 yards, because the receiving makes it look a little prettier, but your point withstood.
I think, just a quick thing, I think you were right more so as in the Lions did their job. The Lions went in there to stop the run, and they stopped the run. I feel like that was their job going into it.
And you also got to look at the 7 sacks on Desmond Ridder. You already know how I feel about Desmond Ridder, but even he doesn't deserve to be sacked 7 times. You got to stop a few of those. They're putting him under constant pressure, and they forced him to a 55% completion rate. It's you can't put the blame on Desmond Ridder for that. The O-line there's got to step up in that situation.
A few other stats I have from it. Jack Campbell got a sack. I believe that's his first career sack. And Brian Branch, the other rookie, second-round pick, 11 tackles this game. So the rookie's showing up and making plays for this Lions defense still.
Hot. Brian Branch was hot. He was good.
Could potentially be a defensive rookie of the year winner type of person if he plays like this for the whole season.
Yeah, it was a dark horse. Only one bad play by him. Had a helmet-to-helmet contact. I mean, that was even debatable. But he still got the stop on that play. I believe it was like a crucial third down. Got a big stop, just the helmet-to-helmet. And then they ended up getting the stop anyway. They looked really good. Like Zach was saying, everyone went out there, did their jobs. And that's what you want out of a football team.
I wanted to bring this game to your guys' attention. This is one we were unanimous about. This is one we didn't spend much time on this past Week 3 preview. We brushed right by this Texans Jaguars game, and look what came of it. The Texans showing up and the Jaguars looking flat-footed. Not only did the Texans go up to their stratosphere, they knocked them down a peg. This Jaguars team did not look like a playoff contender. And CJ Stroud looks like the quarterback that could potentially be the most pro-ready. Maybe, Tev, if there's any quarterback you're wrong about saying protect him, keep him away, it's CJ Stroud because he's already winning games for this Texans team. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was going to say CJ shut me up. That whole offense shut me up. I mean, team-wise, they shut me up. But I think more so Jacksonville's at a weird time where they don't know what they're at right now. They are a very talented team. I feel like play calling wise, it could have been a lot better. I see Trevor Lawrence, I feel like, is at a plateau right now. Not necessarily career wise, but season wise. I feel like they're gonna get over this little hump and just be pretty. I feel like that this was just a little all to the story mode, all to the part of the character. All these losses are to build character. This Houston loss might be their last one for the next few weeks. I see them knocking off a few teams. Calvin Ridley couldn't get the ball to their receivers. They couldn't get the ball to their playmakers, and there's nothing you can really do about that when you can't do that.
Yeah, before Tank Bigsby took in that one touchdown, we saw Calvin Ridley have a touchdown pass in his hands and dropped. It's the type of play that I anticipate Calvin Ridley making, and like the type of plays that were hyped up during training camp for us. Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley are supposed to be a top 3 wide receiver quarterback connection, and we're just not seeing that. Brandon McManus, 2 field goals. Well, Agnew lost a fumble. There were things that went wrong, and there are things that can be easily corrected. So I'm with Tev here. I'm not putting too much stock into this one. This Jaguars team will be fine. I think they have a good coach looking after them in Doug Peterson. I know I've said that in the past before. But shout out to D'Amico Ryans. Shout out CJ Stroud. This team is legit. I think they're not a playoff contender this year. I still don't think that sentiment changes whatsoever. I think they still need a few more pieces, but Tank Dell is one of those pieces. He had, 5 catches, 150 yards, and a score? This guy is legit. And this Texans team is very soon to be as well.
I'm going to go in one thing, though, because I do want to talk about a Texans player. I want to talk about Dameon Pierce, because this man, it's kind of getting that James Robinson type of treatment. His rookie year kind of went out of nowhere and played very well. The team had no talent around him, so they had to force-feed this rookie running back the ball, and he looked great. And then going into his second year, he's getting really inefficient with the ball carrying, 14 for 31 on a touchdown. But Singletary, former Bills running back, actually had 9 carries for 41 yards. Played way better than Pierce did. But I think that this is really concerning for a running back of his talent like Pierce. Like, he can go into the James Robinson type of treatment, kind of like not really be a great running back that people expected him to be. I just hope this could be a little bit of a slump going into maybe the later of the season. He could pick it up, but I am really concerned for Dameon Pierce.
Dameon Pierce, I hear you on your concerns there. There's another AFC South running back that I'm a little concerned for. This Cleveland Browns defense is no joke. But Derrick Henry only getting 11 carries for 20 yards this week. How do we feel about the Titans coming up completely flat against the Browns? And might I say, I might have been right again because they rallied around Nick Chubb in that injury. They looked good. they changed that scheme, and Deshaun Watson got moving. So what are everyone's thoughts? Tev, you look like you have something to say.
I'm telling y'all, man. I said it. Me and you were on the same side when we said Stefanski and like the whole coaching staff and Watson, I feel like got together and were like, yo, come on, we're a lot better than this. Everyone's like did their jobs. Stefanski, as a coach, changed up the scheme with his offensive coordinator. I feel like sat there like, yo, we got to change something. Come on, we can't run the ball 40 times anymore, 50 times anymore. Like, obviously, I'm overreacting, but the man did Deshaun Watson look good. This is the first game on his guaranteed contract that he looked like he deserved that guaranteed contract. And if he could continue to give performances like this, they are a playoff team. I'm not, the defense is good enough. They stay healthy and they keep playing like this. No more unfortunate injuries. Yeah, they're a playoff team.
289 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
I kind of want to, apologize to Deshaun Watson. I kind of doubted him going into the first 2 games of the season. But I feel like what Teb said, now with Chubb hurt, they're going to finally have to spread out the offense. And Amari Cooper really benefited out of that, and also Elijah Moore, because they both had 7 catches, 116 for Amari Cooper, and also a touchdown, and Elijah Moore 9 catches for 49 yards. The offense just looked kind of a little bit better, but the run game, on the other hand, didn't look too well. Jerome Ford only had 10 carries and a touchdown. Pierre Strong had the most rushing yards out of anybody with 6 carries for 27. It was just typical Tennessee run defense. They're still good, but they still beat them in the pass. And I just want to say, honestly, I'm sorry, Deshaun Watson, for downing you. He played very well.
I'm really liking Jerome Ford right now. I mean, he was stopped in the run game. He didn't get that many yards, but they're starting to look at him as like a red zone threat. He got 2 touchdowns on the game, one in the air, one on the ground. I think he's really stepping up, helping pick up where Nick Chubb left off. I mean, Nick Chubb's not a very easily replaceable player. He's probably the best running back in the league, in my opinion. But coming in, getting 2 touchdowns on the day, I like seeing that from Jerome Ford. So for someone taking that late in the draft, I like seeing that from him. I do.
Also, Kareem Hunt, 7 touches. I know his running game, I believe he went for less than 4 yards a carry, but 7 touches in total, 35 yards. Effective in his debut. I wanted to turn the tables now to a certain other AFC South, AFC North matchup. This Colts-Baltimore game. Lamar Jackson looking pretty good. Team's leading rusher, team's leading passer. Well, of course, team's leading passer, but couldn't quite get it done against the Minshew Magic. This shorthanded Baltimore team was just not full 100%. They're one of the teams most inflicted, along with the Packers, to have the injury bug in the early parts of the season. But still, kind of a statement win by Minshew.
Yeah, I agree, though. And I was honestly the only one to say that the Colts will win. So I just want to say, I told you
Props
guys.
to Charlie.
Yeah, props.
So I honestly, I'm impressed how Shane Steichen's honestly how he's coaching this team. He has literally a makeshift running back group of Trey Sermon and Zach Moss, and Zach Moss had 30 carries for 122 yards. Basically, shocking everybody who expected him to be the starter going into this year. Gardner Minshew played very well. He got hit a lot. He got beaten up in this game. But honestly, the Colts defense as well still managed to beat this kind of high-powered Baltimore offense.
Zach Moss was
they
my
did it in a
surprise of the game.
Pretty good fashion.
I was really impressed with Zach Moss. I was not thinking he was going to be a guy outside of the red zone touches he got in Buffalo when he was paired up with Devin Singletary. But 30 rushes, 122 yards, a receiving touchdown, it speaks for himself. It's really impressive to me what the Colts did, even though, once again, the Baltimore team did not have all of their players together. Did not have all their starters. Ronnie Staley, Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Williams, Tyler Lindenbaum, Oweh, Justice Hill, OBJ. I had to look at my board to list how many there were because there are just that many. But Ted, this was your Super Bowl team, the one that you put the little highlight on at the beginning of the video. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Gus going down too, their number 1 running back going into the game. Him going down doesn't help at all. 2 fumbles, like I said, didn't help Lamar. But you can't put too much emphasis on this. It was the backup teams. It was 2 teams hit with injury bug. let's not forget the Colts came in with their backup quarterback. Gardner's not going to have that job too long. So yeah, he could have a good game. He could have a bad game. Doesn't matter because he's not going to have that job in a few weeks or however long it takes for AR to get back. But man, this team has literally a CVS receipt full of injuries. Few pieces come back here and there throughout the season. They start to mesh again. Like I said, this loss isn't too bad on them. It really depends how they bounce back next week. And with that injury list, let's not forget, they beat the Bengals. The Bengals, I mean, yeah, they're not too hot either, but they beat the Bengals. I feel like next week they could beat this hot Browns team. Even if their defense is hot, I feel like they could step up. Lamar usually plays well against his division rivals. And, man, like I said, man, they're my Super Bowl favorite. There's not too much you can say to me to really flare me off of them. Once they start getting a few pieces here and there, they're good. They're a good football team.
I think real quick though, like I said last week, I think it carries over to this week for the Ravens. This is a clear example of them having the lack of a running game right now. I mean, Lamar Jackson, 101 yards. That's a great game, but your quarterback can't do that for you every week. For this Ravens team to take that next step to be the true Super Bowl contenders they have to be, like I said last week, they're going to have to start looking at the running back market. They might have to spend a little bit of draft capital, spend a little bit of money, but guys like Saquon, guys like Jonathan Taylor, don't be surprised if they're in a Ravens uniform pretty soon.
What about Josh Jacobs? Do you see the Raiders giving up on him? I feel like that offense with Lamar would rejuvenate the season. Get them back up to that 4.5, 5 yards per carry running back.
For sure. There's one last game in the 1 p.m. time window that we haven't gotten to yet. And this is the one actually we end up not having to spend too much time on, just for the sake of how much of a beatdown it was. We called him Sammy Sosa last week, but this week I come up with another few names. Sammy no. Sammy sit down. Sammy struggles against the Buffalo Bills, as the Washington Commanders can only struggle to put up 3 points.
I was wrong. I thought Josh Allen was going to make a bunch of mistakes, but clearly they did not. The mistakes were on the other side of the ball there. Sam Howell with 4 interceptions. I mean, you can't throw 4 interceptions in a football game. You just can't have it.
He took 9 sacks.
9 sacks. Honestly, I didn't even know that either. That's just an atrocious showing from all facets of that offense. 3 interceptions, you can live with that. We don't like to see it. Being a Jets fan, having Sam Darnold on our team, we saw 3 interceptions a lot, but 4 interceptions, just can't allow it.
I've said that he reminds me of Sam Darnold in the way that Sam Darnold was a consummate professional. He always put his best foot forward. He always handled interviews like a pro, even when his on-field play struggled for the Jets. And I felt like Sam Howell has handled this Washington Commanders quarterback starting job the same way. Unfortunately, he also looked like Sam Darnold on the field this past week. It was tough. He threw one pass. I didn't catch who it was thrown to, but he was trying to get it over a defensive lineman or a linebacker, and instead a guy just came down right with it. It was one of the uglier picks I saw in this past week. He just did not look ready for such a vicious contender. And Buffalo, credit to Buffalo. We said it. I think they're one of the teams that are the hottest right now. I've been keeping an eye out for trap games. I felt like I kind of hyped you guys up to pick the Commanders because I've been really hot on the Commanders. That being said, this Buffalo team and the Miami Dolphins that we got into a little bit earlier, these Miami Dolphins, we're going to see a game this next week. Buffalo, Miami is going to be the game of the week, and it's not even close. We're going to see a preview of maybe not the AFC Championship game. It depends on what the Bills can do. But whoever's meeting the Dolphins in the AFC Championship game, they're going to have to fight with the Bills. So I don't mind calling it the preview to the AFC Championship game.
Like you were saying, next week might be the division winner. Just like I was talking about the Browns and the Ravens, next week's game for them might be their division winner. The winner of this game might win the division. And then on top of everything that you guys said, I feel like that was an unintentional statement to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins' offensive outputting was an unintentional statement to the Bills. Like, next week we play against the Bills. Let's
Unstoppable
go.
force meets an immovable object.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it was. They're both at the same time slot, so you can't say one was watching the other. But you can't tell me that the one didn't hear about the other. It was like, yo, how many points? How many yards? How many touchdowns? Yeah, go get another sack.
They used that time to make a statement. And
yeah, I feel like it was an unintentional statement on both ends.
Yeah. Another team that obviously made a statement, as we've alluded to earlier, the Kansas City Chiefs showing out this weekend. Justin Fields was supposed to let it loose, and we didn't see that. This Chiefs defense is going to be extremely tough for any opponent, but this Chicago Bears team didn't show up to play. This Chiefs team pretty much had a free warm-up. I don't think that the Bears were ready for the Chiefs, just like the Commanders were not ready for the Bills. And the biggest headline of this game, besides Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, was Patrick Mahomes' ankle. He came up before halftime looking a little limp right there. He might have a low ankle sprain. It doesn't seem to be serious, but it's something to keep an eye out for. This would have been an awful, awful, awful way to come out of this game. The biggest gimme that the Chiefs probably had this year.
Absolutely, and I agree with that, though. It's just a pretty dominant win. And I just want to say I apologize for my terrible Bears take on last episode. That was one of the worst takes I think I've even had in my life. Justin
I appreciate
Fields
it.
Was absolutely terrible. Couldn't even get over 9 yards per completion.
And
only had 9 yards. It was ridiculous.
Charlie,
it was just a bad game. Chiefs went in there and dominated.
Oh, is it Charlie? And you know what I'm sorry for? Absolutely nothing. I called this Cardinals team, however improbable, to beat the Dallas Cowboys. And what did they do, Tav?
Beat them. Listen. We had a lot more doubt in Dak. Dak should have threw 3 picks.
But yeah, he waited till the fourth quarter. He threw his last pick, what was it, to Kaiser White in the goal line. It got close, but the Cardinals pulled it out for us. They did not make us look stupid. Josh Dobbs, moving. G.I. Josh. Ooh. James Conner, moving. Rondale Moore, I was not anticipating that. I thought we were going to see a pick 6, but instead we see a wide receiver handoff to one of the shortest players in the league. Flashbacks of Trendon Holiday. What do we think?
It was a mental lapse. I mean, obviously Micah Parsons got banged up. But yeah, it was more of a mental lapse by the Cowboys and Dak. But not to really whatever it, but I think Dak might be in the hot seat this season. If he's throwing Stevie Wonders like that against teams like that, and losing to teams like that, your defense could let up how many points, but if you're going against the Cardinals defense, granted, isn't a bad defense, but come on. That team's only playing on heart right now. Shut their heart down. Go down there, throw a few first downs, get your offense rolling, hype up your defense, be the leader. You did not see that in Dak. And, man, Dak might throw 35 picks this year, man. Like, it's going to be bad.
To be devil's advocate for you two, honestly, the Cowboys were going into that game with no Tyron Smith and Zach Martin. So he was going to get banged up anyway. Those were his two, by far, his best offensive linemen on that roster. And, of course, he was going to get banged up. I didn't realize that till Sunday morning. I was like, oh, no, this could be a Cardinals upset. So I just want to honestly say this was more of a Cardinals win than a Cowboys loss. And shout out Josh Dobbs for getting his first win as a starter. I want to say clear. I'm not sure.
I believe so. That would put him at 1-3 as a starter. And Josh Dobbs looked very good. I think we had our jokes about how this Cardinal team was going to look under John Gannon, but they came out and were innovative. I can't even tell you the name of the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, but he looked good. This guy got Rondale Moore involved. Rondale Moore obviously became the X factor of the game, one of the shortest players in the league, and one of the most exciting players ever since his time at Purdue. This Cardinals team might not win too many more games this year. I think that it was, as Charlie says, the perfect opportunity. There were players out. I believe even center Tyler Biadasz was out on the Cowboys offensive line. So Do I believe that this is a sign of things to come for the Cardinals? No. I'm gonna chill out right there. But boy, am I proud that I predicted it. I feel good.
I was wrong with John Gannon. If they win only 2 games or 5 games, he's building a culture. I think we might all be wrong with his coaching.
Bridge coach, no more.
I don't
Give him
think
another season.
I think he got out that bridge coach ladder.
Zach, do you think this grants John Gannon another season down in Arizona?
Absolutely not. I think this is the trappiest of all trap games. I mean, Dallas was coming in a little banged up, but no one predicted this. No one predicted Dallas to lose this game. This had nothing to do with John Gannon's coaching and everything to do with just the lack of effort from the Dallas Cowboys. Sure, he was a little innovative on offense, but besides that, what do we see from Josh Dobbs besides 189 yards? I mean, that's just game managing to me. He just managed the game.
44 yards on the first drive on that big run.
I don't know. I don't think we're going to see much more of this from the Cardinals. I think this is a fluke.
I think that is disrespect to Josh Dobbs. I think we are seeing a game impactor. G.I. Joshua Dobbs. It's official. That's his name. G.I. Josh.
G.I. Josh. G.I. Josh is not going to be playing football in about 2 weeks whenever Kyler Murray comes back. So do with that what you will. We're not going to see anything else from this Cardinals team for the rest of the year. This is their only upset. They get one upset per year. This is it. I'm calling it now. 1-16.
If I'm Kyler, I'm not playing. Go get Caleb. Let me go. Free me. Yeah, he could go rally the troops, but I just tore my knee. You think I want to come back to this?
After this week? Absolutely. The last of the 4:15 or 4 o'clock window games, 4:25, whatever the hell they go. Carolina Panthers, Tev's team against the Seattle Seahawks. Things looked good there in the first half. Carolina going to halftime with a 13-12 lead. That didn't hold up, though. Tev, what happened?
I'm going to be quick and easy. Defense did their job. Edge rushers got there. Linebacking crew looks slow. Defensive backs, besides Jeremy Chin and Dante Jackson doing their job. Dante Jackson should be on the hot seat in my eyes, but with a banged up DB crew and not even a deep DB crew, he's going to find himself a job for the next, I believe, 2 years. Defense did their job, held a lot of field goals. Offense looked stagnant at times. My wide receiver crew shut me up. Over 100 yards. Over 150 yards combined between DJ Chark and Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen damn near had 150 himself. 11 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah,
the run game didn't look as impactful. I mean, you see a few good runs, but granted, the offensive line is very banged up. That game could have went either way. I thought Seattle was going to go in there and really make an example out of us, but they kept it close. Andy Dalton just being a vet, the red boner, did his job. And this should be good for Bryce Young to see his wide receivers get separation and do their jobs. This should be good for him coming in and with his confidence. Don't be shocked if they prolong him sitting because how well this offense looked with Andy Dalton compared to him.
Get him out of the limelight for another week. I don't think I would be against that either. Andy Dalton came in, and he truly did look quite better than Bryce Young so far. So maybe we do give this Panthers team another week to let Bryce chill out, get his mental right. But Charlie, Zach, I'm wondering what your thoughts on either the Panthers or the Seahawks are.
I mean, what did I say last week? I said this last week. Look at Andy Dalton to have a huge game this week. He did. He did exactly that. 361 yards and 2 touchdowns after sitting behind a rookie. I mean, what else could you ask for? He truly put on his vet hat. He went out there. He dissected that Seattle defense. I think the only issue was just the Panthers defense. They couldn't. You got to hold the other team to 21 points. You got to keep the 21 if you want to win. And they weren't able to do that. Seattle came out on top.
And exactly, you said the same exact words I was going to say. Honestly, another takeaway, though, Miles Sanders, just the run game in general for Carolina was pretty inefficient. Like Miles Sanders had only 9 carries for the whole game. Like, I feel like that's a little ridiculous, but you're playing behind, you had to throw the ball more, which I understand.
I think that we can still look at that Panthers offensive line for that. I think Christensen is going to be a bigger loss than people are going to give credit for. I'm not ready to blame Miles Sanders yet. I think this offensive line, we've seen it with Bryce Young against the Saints last week. This offensive line, much like the Jets are failing to do with Zach Wilson, the Panthers are failing to protect their quarterback and protect their running game. Breece Hall, 10 carries, 14 yards this game. Miles Sanders, I kind of expect similar outcomes for until we see an improvement there. But Charlie, you are also the one tasked with this Sunday night football matchup. This Raiders-Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday night, ever since Kenny Pickett threw that game-winning touchdown Christmas Eve, rest in peace, Franco Harris. And we see the Pittsburgh Steelers getting it done again. What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, what I saw from the game last night is that Mike Tomlin and that Steelers defense had no game plan to stopping Davante Adams. Davante Adams really went for 13 catches, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Damn near half of Jimmy Garoppolo's passing yardage for the whole game. And he had all of his touchdowns as well. Davante Adams is still an elite wide receiver, no matter what quarterback they give him. And Matt Canada's offense honestly still sucks, and for some reason he is given a bigger role to try to develop Kenny Pickett, which blows my mind because everyone knows that the Steelers' offense is terrible. It's mediocre. Najee Harris still looks inefficient and slow as he's ever been. Make Jaylen Warren the full-time starter. Like, Jaylen Warren's going out there and breaking a couple of passes off for like 30 yards, 10 yards. They looked more efficient with Jaylen Warren on the field instead of Najee. But I do want to give my little shout out to Keanu Benton, the rookie defensive lineman for the Steelers, former Wisconsin Badger. Went in there pretty well, honestly, without Cam Hayward in the lineup due to an injury. Keanu Benton went in there and played pretty well against this Raiders interior line. Got to Jimmy Garoppolo for a sack, and he had a couple of tackles. But like I said, Steelers got a pretty dominant win because of their defense, and Josh Jacobs looks pretty bad as well.
Josh Jacobs does have his moments where he looks like he's running on quicksand. Like you said about Najee Harris, 3.4 yards a carry. Josh Jacobs, 3.6 yards a carry. And these are the 2 worst rushing offenses in the NFL so far through 3 weeks. So I can't really disagree with anything you said. Davante Adams was the highlight for me as well. But one thing I did write in my notes is Tomlin greater than McDaniels. What was that call? They were down 8 points and they decided to go for a field goal, cutting it to 5. Your thoughts on that? Because I'm still flabbergasted. I think McDaniels is getting close to that Staley tier of incompetence on the helm.
He's getting there. He's already there. He's like the leader of that incompetence tier. Like, it doesn't make sense for the Raiders to go down by 8 to go kick a field goal. It doesn't make sense at all. Try to go for the end zone. Try to at least tie the game. And if you don't get the completion, at least you win there. Try to go for the game winner. It doesn't make sense. McDaniels is going to be gone by the end of the season.
I mean, we called it. I mean, everything you said was spot on about this game review. We called it. We said it was going to be ugly. By the time we review it, we're going to have a lot of things to say how ugly it is, but we're going to have a few bright spots. Bright spots where Kenny Pickett might have not looked great at times, but you see spurts, especially in prime time. We saw a few spurts in the young quarterback. I mean, I already wrote him off. So, yeah, it kind of shut me up a little bit. It gives you a little hope.
Giving him a little more time?
Yeah, I mean, this buys him a lot more time. Especially the way he beat this team in prime time. I feel like I'm a narrative guy as well. So him building that narrative and him being able to, I don't know, do his job there and win the game. Ugly win, but they got it off. I am sitting on my pen.
All right. And with that, this brings us to the 2 games that have yet to happen. We're going to do these relatively quick because we are running out of time today. Eagles going to Tampa Bay to face the Bucs. Baker 2-0 as the Buccaneers starting quarterback. Hurts 19-1 in his last 20 regular season starts. Who are we taking? Am I alone on taking the Eagles? Something tells me I'm not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. I think this is the time. I think this is going to be the game where Baker's magical run starts to end. I think this Eagles defense, especially the defensive line, is going to make Baker stay a living hell.
Much harder to do this against the Eagles than the Bears. Tev, your thoughts?
Absolutely.
Same thing, spot on.
Yep.
This is going to be Baker's last of the Baker magic. He might have a few spurts here and there, but it's over.
3-0 Eagles. Moving on. That's
3-0 Eagles. I like that. Short but sweet. And then we're seeing a Super Bowl rematch. Burrow questionable. We're not even sure if he's going to play. They're saying he might play through, but that's a high injury risk. So who do we see winning?
He's going to be on IR as well.
Yeah,
I heard a report that Joe Burrow could be on IR.
There have been reports about putting him on the short-term IR due to a re-aggravated calf injury. So will we see Jake Browning or less than 100% Joe Burrow? Either way, I'm taking the Rams here. Paki Nakua is going to be on the field. Matt Stafford's going to be on the field. Give me the Rams.
Absolutely. Same here. Agreed. I'm taking the Rams.
I'm right there with you, Rams. Rams are the better team right now. And I mean,
exactly.
Even if your wide receiver one's telling you to bench your quarterback, bench your quarterback.
I'm going to disagree with everybody. I think the Bengals are breaking their slow start. They're going up against a weak Rams defense. I think we're going to see their offense finally open up, especially if Burrow's able to get out on the field. I'm taking the Rams.
There we go. And those are our final predictions for week 3. We'll see how the rest goes. Week 4, we're going to see the Lions go into Green Bay and face the Packers. Will Jordan Love be able to build off this win, or will the Lions and Motor City Dan Campbell prove Zach further right?
I think the Lions are going to go in there and honestly beat the Packers. I think this team is the best team in the NFC North.
Oh, I guess we do our predictions now, too, for this one, right? Before we go, we're also going to do the Week 4 prediction for Lions-Packers. I think I'm going to take Motor City Dan Campbell here. The Lions look good. Jared Goff still looks legit. Even if Packers get some guys back, I don't think they're ready to take on the Lions just yet. Give me the Lions.
Absolutely, same here. I'm going to take the Lions. I think that the best team in the NFC North, and then they'll start running away with it.
I'm obviously Team Lions here. I think their team's just going to keep clicking on all cylinders. They're not coming up against a very difficult team in Green Bay. I think they get it done on both sides of the ball.
Hey, man, you guys are all hammering the Lions. I got to go Green Bay. I feel like it's going to come back to QB play. Like you said, they might be banged up or not. Both sides are going to do their jobs. Green Bay side, I believe. And it's going to come back to quarterback play. And I feel like Jordan Love can out-edge Jared Goff in this matchup.
Tev's taken the home team. And that essentially wraps up what we wanted to get into for today. Colorado, Oregon was an afterthought as well. I know we talked about that last week, but we can brush past it. We'll give Dion a mulligan.
Give me till next episode.
There we go. Yeah. We'll have more on that next episode and a lot more in our Week 4 preview. Thank you guys for joining us yet again today. I'm Matt.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Zach.
Thank you for listening. This is the Senior Roundtable Football Podcast. Tev, are you clicking us off this week?
Yeah, man. Hold up. I messed up this goodbyes. I kept saying my name. I got eager, so peace out.